even know my competitors' names. I don't even know they exist. Give a fuck. Spend 0 seconds on it. Cheering for them, let them do their thing, has nothing to do with me. The world is abundant. Nobody on earth is taking your money or your happiness. Your perception that they are is taking your money and your fucking happiness.
See how mad she is? Hold on, where do you get this? Ow! Wait a minute, I got this. Oh, wait, you only got 2 spots left. Shit.
Guys, what's going on? So I figured we'd start this whole thing off with how I got into trucking. Hasn't been very long. Although, as I told you guys in the first video, I'm nearly half a century old, which makes me just shy of 50. my career in trucking has been rather short compared to many guys my age. Left out of high school and took off and went to Pittsburgh and went to college. Went to art school at first, and then came back home to Cleveland, Ohio for a little bit, went back to Pittsburgh, went to business school. Left out of there and got into the nightclub industry. Started off as nightclub security. I was a bouncer, and did that for a few years. Ended up running a couple clubs. And then jumped into law enforcement. And that was interesting. Did a short stint in banking and finance because I had, so aside from, being involved in the nightclub industry, got involved in the finance industry as well. And got into that because I had partnered up and run a repossession company for a while. Something I did on the side, quite a bit of time. We got into business actually running one. And then after all that went down, I met, during that time rather, I met the woman who would eventually become my wife. I was married previously. She's the mother of my 24-year-old son. Ended up meeting, got divorced, met this young lady, moved back down south. We got there. There was nothing I was really interested in the private sector. She asked me what I wanted to do. Told her I already did all that. When I was a kid, I was a big cop. Got involved in numbers because I was kind of a numbers geek and a history geek. Got involved in all that, did all that. Told her when I was a little boy, I had, my dad had two cousins that he grew up with in Chicago. Became truck drivers. They were owner operators. They had their own rigs. And when I was little, I used to come through town. And I used to love those big trucks. Was fortunate enough as a little boy to be able to ride in both of them. Went to Chicago a couple times. Met up with the oldest of his of my second cousins, his cousins. There was something intriguing about the way these guys lived their life. You have to understand this was back in the 70s. So these guys, they were very independent. They always walked around, had a big amount of cash in their pocket. They both drove Cadillacs. Both had homes apparently they never went to. But one was running a flatbed, and the other one was running a reefer. He was running hanging beef from what I can remember. So I told her about that. She said, well, go drive a truck. After about no less than a week of hanging out down south, hanging at the beach, I said, I got to do something. So I went off and learned how to drive a truck. That was 6 years ago. When I got to driving a truck, I thought to myself, okay, so, like, what's the thing to do in trucking? And what I was really interested in doing was oversized freight. There was something intriguing about seeing guys running, big machinery down the road, and I wanted to do that. So after I learned how to drive a truck, got into flatbed, Did that for about 16 months. And then started doing oversized freight. During that time, I had the opportunity to run on my own. So I went ahead and took that opportunity. And from the time that I learned how to drive a truck, I would spend most of my nights in the sleeper studying up on more aspects of business, how I could take my knowledge of business and things that I've done in the past and fit those into running a small trucking company. Learned about the industry, learned about how lanes worked, brokers, how to land customer contracts, sales, dispatching, everything. So during the daytime, I was learning how to run the truck and how to secure loads. At night, I was learning everything else about the industry I needed to know. Ultimately, I had the opportunity to finally start running big oversized freight. So I went from a dry van for a really short period of time, then turned around and ran flatbed, step deck, then to RGNs. And we started doing stretches, super loads, got into all that stuff. And I didn't even have 5 years under my belt yet, and I was doing all this stuff. I think the reason why I was able to do a lot of this stuff is because of my age and my maturity. The fact that I was able to stay calm and not get too nervous about this stuff, because some of it will make your hair turn gray. But I had a good time with it. Ultimately, the reason why I got out of heavy haul is I was watching the contracts. Every September they would redo contracts, and I would watch the bids go lower and lower on loads that I was used to doing. I got very good at doing loads that ran from the north up near the Chicago area, taking it all the way down to Mexico. And initially those loads would pay upwards of $11,000, one shot, one way. And I got very good at being able to turn these loads in about a week's time. I could turn around and get down there, get a load back up, grab another load and go back down. So there's a lot of money involved in this. And over the course of time, I watched those contracts be outbid, getting paid less and less and less on them. And during that same amount of time, I was breaking my body apart. Ended up having 2 torn rotacuffs, hyperextended elbow, knee injury that I sustained a long time ago that I messed up several times since, ankle, back issues, neck issues, smacked my head about 24 times, fallen off loads, gotten hit with chains, got smacked with a forklift one time. Yeah, so after a while, your body gets broken up. Like I said, I'm almost 50, guys. So I wanted to try to take it easy. But in order to do that, the amount of money I was used to, I had to find contracts. I had to find the opportunity to have contracts that were going to pay me as much or more. I knew I could still do the job, and I wanted to get out of the heavy haul game. So I did. I've already explained the contracts I have now. It's all high security, specialized freight. Pays very well. It's provided very, very well for my family. Actually, the trucking industry as a whole has provided very, very well for my family. I make no bones about it. I tell people when I talk to them, like, my story is not the typical story in trucking, but the kind of income I've been able to generate as far as a company and personally has been life-changing kind of money. Up until everything started turning with the economy, I used to try to encourage guys all the time. I would see them out, whether the guy go to a factory to move machines or out in the field. You know, I'd run to West Texas and move machines out in the oil field, or even at truck stops, warehouses, you name it. I'd tell guys, like, look, if you're in transition in your life, get into trucking. And I'd sit down and I'd tell them the story. I'd give them the real brief, version of my story. The biggest asset that I've had out here in trucking is the fact that I have an extremely strong work ethic. make no bones about it, I started working when I was 9 years old, cutting grass, because I liked money, and my dad was not going to hand me cash. I come from a blue-collar, working-class family. Father worked, mom stayed at home and raised us. Lived in a very strict household. There was no BS about it. So all of that served me well. I watched my dad to the day he died, worked all the time, always overtime. So since I've become an adult, I've never had less than a job that, was going to offer me 60 hours a week if I needed to, and if necessary, I'd get 2 jobs. So I really fit into trucking rather well, and I stuck out in a lot of the companies because I was willing to do a lot of things that people were not. I'm not the guy who goes home every 2 weeks. I'm a numbers geek, so I remember things, as far as numbers go, very well. I tell people all the time, 2019, I went home 9 days. I was really getting into the flatbed thing at the time, and I was a new business owner, so it wasn't worth the risk to me to turn around and miss anything. So I stayed out all the time. 2020, I went home 11 days. Only after I really got deep into the heavy haul thing did I realize I could take some time off. So I took a little more time off. Now that I'm out of that and I'm running a box and I got this Peterbilt, last year wasn't too bad. I got home a little bit more. But again, guys, I try to explain to people, like, look, you're not going to make money out here going home every 2 weeks. I've heard every excuse in the book. I got to get home to the kids. I got to get home to the wife. I got to get home to the baby's mama. The baby mama. I got to, go home to my girlfriend. It's like, look, when you get into this, you better have a good conversation with your people. And let them know, like, look, there's a huge sacrifice, but on the back end, I think I can pull this off to where it can be life-changing for us. Because there's nothing worse than turning around and sacrificing even 2 weeks out here, only to go home to hear your spouse or your baby mama complain to you about that, how there ain't no money and the bills are behind. I never wanted that. I've lost everything once already. So I believed in working hard and staying out and making sure the money was up, making sure all the bills were paid, there was extra cash there so we could do things. Creating memories is not cheap. If you guys check out my Instagram or my Facebook, you'll see there's a lot of things we've been able to do. It's all been because of this. So there's a lot of sacrifice that needs to be made. You decide you want to get into it, understand you need to have that conversation. You need to be prepared to do it. If you don't have work ethic, there's no point in being out here. You're going to make $35,000, $45,000 like everybody else. And I don't hide the fact that, for the last 4.5, 5 years, I've been a 6-figure guy. So I put the numbers all out there on social media. I mean, can't deny that. And although trucking is a huge, egotistical community of people, you will hear guys out here, when you throw your numbers out, they'll say, well, that's what you make gross, what you make net. And then they find out the net number is still a big number too. No, guys, I work. That's what I'm here for. Okay? As a husband and a father, it's my job to go out there and slay the dragon and make sure I bring home the fucking bacon. So that's what I do. It's all about what you're willing to, sacrifice in order, to provide for your family. And that's how I got into trucking. It's not been easy, though. There's plenty of things that I've missed along the way. I've missed birthdays, holidays. I missed both of my kids as infants growing up. I saw it all on Facebook or on video or pictures. So if you can't make that kind of sacrifice either, understand, guys, there's no point in even trying this. It's not worth it. This kind of job will also it'll wreak havoc on a relationship if they're not prepared, or if they just don't want to deal with it anymore. Yeah. I've heard people try to often compare it to being in the military. And going back to what I said about how it'll wreak havoc on your relationship, I do have a real strong feeling that a lot of these guys who go out here on the road, who have every opportunity to make all kind of money, the reason why they end up going back home every 2 weeks is they're just insecure. Like I said, you need to have that conversation before you even get out here. And if they're not comfortable, understand at the end of the day, it's not going to work. You need to go back to having a normal 9 to 5 and do your thing. If you're an insecure man, this is not the place for you. Because it will not only crush your relationship, it will crush you financially because of that. There's a lot of sacrifices it takes to make it to this level, to make it to the level of a lot of these veterans out here that are doing a lot better even than me. Because there are plenty of guys out here that are knocking down 300,000 and more out here in these trucks. They have to get into a specialized division. It's a very niche market. There's a few things you can get into out here to make a lot of money. Like I said, I've only managed to rise as fast as I have in the industry strictly because of my age and my maturity and the fact that I'm willing to sacrifice. If you can't do that, understand, guys, it's probably not worth it. Now, going back to what I was saying, it's often been compared to me. It's almost like being in the military. Well, not really. There's a lot of people out here that are not very disciplined, so it's not like being in the military in that respect. And when you're in the military and you turn around and get deployed, most of the times you have a scheduled time that you're going to come home, and then you have a scheduled amount of time that you're home. In trucking, you don't get that. So it's something else to consider. It's not like a military life at all. But understand, you will leave your spouse and your loved ones with time and opportunity. Trucking is not an easy life. You have to turn around and get very used to living in a small steel rolling box that is smaller than the size of the average jail cell in the United States. See a lot of people, and I did it when I first got into it, big TVs, microwave, coffee maker. I had all that stuff in my truck. Now I'm pretty bare bones. I got the phone, I got a small tablet to do some business on. That's it. I'm out here to truck. It's a very disciplined lifestyle if you want to be successful at it. Things aren't going to be handed to you out here. If you're one of those people that thinks you're going to go out here and drive a truck and make the most amount of money doing nothing, you're never going to make it. It's a hard life. It'll age you fast. When I got out here, this was all black. Not anymore. You will come across health issues. There's hygiene issues you got to deal with. Anything you can imagine, you're going to come across it when it comes to that. You have to be very creative in the way that you live. You know, being able to take care of yourself and stay healthy. Doing things like getting to a gym is not so easy. You know, eating healthy, not so easy. Picking up bad habits like smoking cigarettes, not easy. You're going to run across it all. But in the end, you can keep yourself disciplined enough, work hard enough. It's worth it. It is. That's why I stay out here. It's like anything else in life. It's not going to come for free, and it's never going to be easy. You're going to have plenty of really good, rewarding days. There's going to be a lot of really, really hellish days, too. I've managed to see the entire country the first less than 3 years that I was trucking. I managed to cover every state. I've seen every state now more than once. In most cases, more than twice and 3 times. But it was worth it. Guys, I appreciate you watching my channel and watching my videos. And if you guys have any comments or anything, please feel free to leave them down below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell. This way here you can be advised every time I get on. I'm going to try to let these out every couple days. We'll start going through the stories. Like I said, I've got a lot of things to speak on. You get to have an idea of who I am and how I think. I'm an old school guy. But I'll talk to you guys soon. I appreciate your time. Thanks again.